Hey, I'm John, and I'm going to be sharing with you about the scientific type science framework and methodology. So, unlike other tests that are based purely on theoretical frameworks and self reporting, the type science test actually allows you to have other people take the test on your behalf to get a more objective view, and also is used on data from hundreds of people who are psychoanalyzed independently by expert researchers who actually developed a framework based on scientific method and what's observable about people in the real world. In other words, this is basically the most legit scientific test, and it's very deep. It's so deep that they've discovered that after looking at thousands and thousands of people over many years, that people with the same personality types tend to even look like siblings and twins, which kind of makes sense if you think that your body helps your mind survive and vice versa. What it's really tapping into seems to be evolution, and that it's creating us as specialists, where we don't see everything accurately. We see a slice of reality, and then we have different fears and different responsibilities that make us act in certain ways. And if you look at economics, division of labor is more efficient. So what this is boiled down to is basically evolution of division of labor, which is good for society, but for ourselves, it creates a lot of pain and blind spots. And in a world where we kind of think similarly, we think that the same solutions work for everyone. That's really not the case, and you'll get so much more benefit out of understanding your own personal journey. So let's dive into the actual framework and understanding what are the different kinds of personality types you can be and what different kind of aspects can you have. So we have discovered that there's thousands of types. The type science framework has boiled it down to make it more approachable with hundreds of types. It's based on, at its core, the work of Carl Jung, who was behind Myers-Briggs 16 personalities, basically cognitive functions, which are that you have certain biases, kind of like order of operations in math, where you have certain ways of thinking that you do before other ways of thinking, unless you're totally exhausted, then you'll move on to the next thing. What this results in is being really strong in certain ways and having blind spots in other ways. So your biggest archetype is going to be based on your quadrant. It's based on your human needs, like Tony Robbins has discovered. But what this is basically looking at is what is your biggest fear? They've discovered that people either have a bias towards being tribal, where they're more in tune with the tribe, or they're more self above tribe, where they're more in tune with themselves. And then also being more of a gatherer, looking for new experiences and having a need for freedom and new stuff, or organizing, which is more about having stability and predictability. The funny thing is that we all are actually seeking the thing that we're the weakest at. So let's say that I'm a primary organizer type. What my actual need is deep down is really gathering and freedom and chaos, because I think that by being overly responsible right now, that'll give me more freedom later. But it's actually a trap where organizers tend to have less freedom because they're just spinning their wheels overdoing it. So by unlocking this information, we get so much more of what we actually want and can lean into the things that actually give us the results we want. For me personally, being a self above tribe person, I'm very into my own logic, and what I secretly want is connection with others. So I think, oh, by being awesome and architecting systems, like I'll be accepted, instead of doing the other thing, which is just like sharing memes and hugging people and like doing gifts and stuff. That my brain just doesn't prioritize as much, but still that's what it desperately wants. From there, there's different textures and flavors of types similar to Myers-Briggs, but there's actually twice as many because there's a thing in Myers-Briggs that's sort of a blind spot, and even in 16 personalities, where you can't have what's known as two extroverted functions in a row. In reality, that does exist, and it's been scientifically proven by the researchers that a lot of people are like this, but it's just a blind spot in the theoretical framework that's been discovered. The terms have also been a lot more made concrete by being able to make things reproducible and very clear. Whereas in the theoretical land, everybody has their own unique definitions of everything and everybody's copying everybody else. And it's a game of abstract telephone where everybody's just kind of vaguely talking about different stuff. But in type science, it's very quite clear, and you'll actually get your ranking on every trait of what it predicts you are and the probability that you are that thing combined with an algorithm that kind of puts it all together for you. The next layer that we have is called your subtype. And this is basically your social needs. People can be more ego driven and ambitious, or they can be more friends and chill and about like authentic connection. If you're more balanced in those areas, where you could be lopsided is either with being a generalist, where you take on a lot of responsibility, and the only way to accomplish it all is to be a generalist and to create things that are more than the sums of the parts, or a specialist, where you really like to get into flow, but you don't want to manage other people. You want to do your work super well, dive deep, and then be able to ship and deliver that. So, based on which of these things, it helps you understand what you need to kind of check off to feel okay to be able to move to the next layer. And then to also be able to just not be unconsciously striving for certain things, but you can be a lot more deliberate about how you approach life. The last piece that we share, besides all the different traits, is called your prescription. And what that is basically a muscle group of different cognitive tools that you use that exercise together. And we've compared these to different seasons because they essentially have very similar seasonal effects. Where, for example, I'm low in winter, which is a time for reflecting, conserving energy, planning, resting, things like that, where people like me tend to just go, go, go. And that causes us problems, and even more so, it causes other people problems, where I might not reflect on past experiences. I might not plan ahead. I might ask the same question a bunch of times and forget stuff. So by being able to be more aware of this, it helps me fill in that blind spot where I'm otherwise unconsciously doubling down. There's also spring, summer, and fall that also have their own unique attributes. So you can figure out which of these you yourself are. We recommend taking the test. You can upgrade premium results to find out more than your 32 main archetypes to get the rest of this sort of information, and especially highly recommend sharing this with people who know you well because for example, people in winter like myself, we're worse at seeing ourselves than average. And we can see other people very accurately, but not ourselves. And I was more far off about my own type than random chance. But other people can really see this stuff clearly. For example, a best friend or your mother probably know you better than yourself. So by getting this tribal view in the dashboard, you can composite everybody's results and get a more accurate, objective view of who you are that could unlock really next level growth and success by being able to lean into the things that you should be doing and leaning away from the things that you're already doing too much of to meet life on life's terms and do the things that make sense in the moment instead of our biases. So we hope that you enjoy this test and that you get a lot of good results out of it like we have ourselves.